In today's episode, we will talk about what happens when monarchs and nations put their trust in someone who is a wannabe God, and how you can learn from their mistakes and put your trust in the real God. Hi, Kid Dovann here, and welcome to another episode of Week at a Glance, where you and I dive into a thoughtful summary of this week's Bible study guide. Welcome to another episode of our series in the book of Isaiah. Today, we will talk about playing God. I personally love watching documentaries, but aside from watching good documentaries, I also love watching behind the scenes. I'm interested to know how things are done and what equipment was used, how this angle was used, all those different kind of things that goes behind the scenes. I'm also fascinated by the thought process that goes behind the storyline. The storyline, the creative plot that makes the story interesting. For films, you can do many takes or cuts until you are satisfied with the performance. However, in a stage play, there are no cuts or takes. In some way, human history unfolds like a stage play, and each character plays a role he chooses. Today we are covering Isaiah chapters 13 through 27. It is quite lengthy, but we will try to shorten it. Now, here are the important points to remember for today's episode. Our first point is front stage. Supremacy between earthly rulers. Technically, it is called forestage, but I find front stage easier to remember, so let's call it front stage. It is basically the front of the stage that faces the audience where the actors and characters play their roles. And this is exactly what is happening in our story today in the book of Isaiah. Kings and nations are in a stage show. The nations that play the leading roles in this narrative formed coalitions with each other and also fought against each other. They struggled for supremacy. Now, using Jerusalem as our reference point or as the center point, we have up north the great Assyrian Empire, and down south we have Egypt and also Ethiopia, and east beyond the desert are the rising kingdoms of Babylon, Media, and also Persia. During Isaiah's time, Assyria was the dominant force. Babylon, Media, and also Persia were even part of the great Assyrian Empire. What is interesting though is that Isaiah wrote a judgment against Babylon even before it became a great nation that would oppress God's people. Prophet Isaiah was seeing something in the far future that from a purely human perspective would not have been apparent. Isaiah chapter 13 verse 19 says, "And Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' pride, will be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will never be inhabited, nor will it be settled from generation to generation." Aside from Babylon, many other nations were mentioned to receive God's judgment in Isaiah chapters 14 through 23. In the annals of human history, it seems as though that mighty kings were responsible for shaping events, and it somehow conveys the impression that the rise and fall of empires were dependent on their abilities from their prowess and also military strategies. Was this really what happened, or is there more than meets the eye? Our second point is backstage conflict between spiritual rulers. While nations were battling for supremacy, Isaiah pulled the curtains aside. And here we see what is happening backstage. Isaiah chapter 14 describes the fall of Babylon, and then from verse 12, it shifts to a cosmic universal realm. Here we read about Lucifer's fall from heaven. Now, if you think that the kings of the kingdoms and also empires were proud and arrogant, let's see what you'll think about Lucifer. Let's take a look at Isaiah chapter 14, verses 12 through 14. "How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations." In verse 13, "For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend to heights of the cloud. Yes, I will be like the Most High." Check also Ezekiel chapter 28 and Revelation 12. They both parallel Isaiah 14. Here we find the origin of pride and exaltation. This is a deadly internal disease that has grave external consequences. So over and over again, Isaiah and many other prophets mentioned that God denounced pride and arrogance, and God still does. Do you remember what happened or what God said against Assyria in chapter 10, verse 12? I will punish the fruit of the arrogant heart of the king of Assyria and the glory of his haughty looks. What about against Babylon? Was not King Nebuchadnezzar reduced to an animal because of his pride? So be very careful not to swallow this poison pill. It is the ultimate secret to self-destruction. Boom. Lucifer's I will statements, I will ascend into the heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High, brought him down. And the fall of Lucifer gives us a glimpse of the Bible's meta-narrative. When the curtains are drawn aside, we see that there is a great controversy that's going on between Christ and Satan, a battle between the Creator God and Lucifer, the wannabe God. When the actors and directors, both on stage and backstage, have taken their bow, what will be written on the headline of the cosmic newspaper? Let's move on to our final point. Our third point is front page, God, the victorious ruler. What we see in Isaiah chapters 24 to 27 is what we see reflected in the entire Bible, which is that no matter the suffering, the pain, and desolation now, in the end, God and goodness will triumph over evil. Even with the play and counterplay of Satan and his human agencies, God is still able to fulfill his divine purpose. The headline on every front page will read, God won the great controversy. Do you want to be a part of that final victory? If yes, then remain faithful and trust in the Lord. And together with the saints from all ages, we will shout in triumph what is written in Isaiah 25, verse 9. And it will be said in that day, behold, this is our God. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. In summary, here are the important points that we talked in today's episode. Point number 1, 4-stage, supremacy between earthly rulers. Point number 2, backstage, conflict between spiritual rulers. And point number 3, front page, God, the victorious ruler. If you find this episode helpful, then please share it with a friend. Spread the word and change lives one message at a time. And if you want to watch more videos and summaries like this, then click on this video right here. This is again Dovann for Week at a Glance. I'll see you again next week.